This.
Hi everybody, it's Joe from PrepAgent. If you could hear me, give me a thumbs up. Tell me where you're from. Tell me your favorite type of vegetable. And we'll get going. There is no there is no math on the California exam. I was going to say there's no California on the math exam. But there is no math on the California exam. And that is not just theory, it actually says that on the California DRU website. So all you Californians, you guys could check out right now. Or if you enjoy math, then you probably also enjoy putting needles through your eye. Avocado, spinach. Okay. So we are ready to go. Is avocado a vegetable? Adrian, is avocado a vegetable? Maybe Adrian could verify or deny that. He's good like that. Okay, so today we're doing math, a long-awaited webinar. And so first thing I want to say, why don't we always do math? What percentage of your exam do you think is going to be math? What do you guys think? What percentage of your exam do you think is going to be math on your exam? Everybody write that down. What percentage? What percentage of math? If you guys get more than 10%, that'd be crazy. More likely, it's 5%. Some of you guys are running 70%. It's not 70%. You're not taking a math exam. Nobody has more than 10%, okay? Most of you will have about 5%, okay? And the other thing I want to tell you, some of the things you guys think is math is not actually math, right? It's not actually math. Just because they're throwing numbers at you doesn't mean it's math. And that is what I'm going to demonstrate today, okay? But most of you, it's in that 5% range. And the reason I bring that up is because many of you guys always say, I don't want to fail because of the math. I don't want to fail because of the math. You can't fail because of the math. Math is a small percentage. And if you understand everything else, you will do fine. So that's why we don't talk about it as much, because I don't want people stressing about it and focusing on it. The other thing I want you guys to realize is that a portion of those math problems are going to be pretty easy for you if you know some basic things. And so within the math realm, I want to take the same philosophy of not focusing on the things that are the most scary to you, okay? Because I don't want you guys to spend the most time on things that are most difficult. So you guys should nail down things that are the easiest. For example, we're going to go right into gross rent multiplier, okay? When you guys see the word gross rent multiplier after this webinar and moving forward, you guys should be like, oh, well, gross rent multiplier, that's no problem. Gross rent multiplier, then I'm good to go, okay? Does everybody got that? So you guys should be able to isolate certain types of things. For example, if you see the word commission, you should be like, oh, awesome. I could do commission problems all day. Bring it on. And you guys should be great at commission because I'm sure you guys already did commission problems. If you did a commission problem, that's probably why you're here. How many of you guys got into this business because you said, wow, that's $1 million house. They get 5%, split the 5% at 2.5. I get what? How much money? Well, that is that's a good deal. I'm going to get my license. How many of you guys have done that already? How many of you guys did a commission problem and it's the reason you're here? So when you see commission problem, gross rent multiplier, you should be all over it. And that'll take out a portion. So after that, you're probably left with only 1 or 2 math problems that are super difficult. In the end of the day, if you got to guess, then so be it. You got to guess. Okay, so let's look at some of that. So what are some things you guys should absolutely know how to do? So one, convert percentages, okay? If you could convert percentages, we learned this in 7th grade, and I know many of us forgot what we learned in school. I know I did, so don't feel bad if that's you, okay? You should learn how to convert percentages because that'll take out a lot of math problems that may look hard but are not. You guys should understand discount and profit when something less than or bigger than. We'll go over some problems about that. You should absolutely know gross rent multiplier. Okay, everybody see I'm typing it there. Gross rent multiplier. All right, and if you know those three things, you're going to take out a big chunk of the math problems. There are other things. Don't get me wrong. There are other things, okay? But those will take out a big chunk. And the reason I focus on those is because I feel like those are the easiest ones to conquer. As you guys know, if you've been studying with me, you know that I always try and focus on the easiest stuff first, nail that down, okay? And then you kind of go from there, all right? Does everybody got it? You don't start with the hardest things. You nail down what you're good at and you work progressively from there. Because if you start with the hard things, one, it could be really discouraging. And two, you could spend all your day on something you're probably gonna get wrong anyway and never get to the easy stuff. Everybody right? I get it. I understand. Okay, somebody asked me to do a mileage problem. I'm not doing that today. So just so you know, this will be the first of many math webinars, we hope. We're gonna start this as a new series. So any problems we don't do, just hold tight. We'll do more in the future. Okay, everybody got that? So we'll do different formulas, different things. We're kind of mix it up. So we're going to do a lot of these. And much like all our material, this is constantly evolving. So on this webinar, these questions, I'm obviously using a template, but these questions are all from the PrepAgent website. So if you guys are asking where to get it, it's all there. With that being said, let's get into it. Everybody said, let's go, Joe. Write that, right? Let's go, Joe. Okay, so the first math thing you guys absolutely have to know, and there's a reason I want you guys to know this, is a gross rent multiplier. Gross rent multiplier. Okay? Home hoarder put hand lotion. I'm not sure what you're implying there. I don't feel dirty. So many inappropriate jokes spawn from there, but we'll let that go. Okay, so gross rent multiplier. So what is the gross rent multiplier? First, write that formula, gross rent multiplier. If you know it, write the formula for gross rent multiplier. Okay, I have it in the board. I want you guys to write it in the chat. Write it in the chat, the formula for gross rent multiplier. Okay, you see it on the board. Price divided by rent. Price divided by rent. I cannot say it enough. Next thing I want you guys to write in the chat for me is default to annual figures. And what I mean by that is when you're not sure what they're talking about, we're going to see example of this when we do the questions. Default to annual figures. Write that down for me. Default to annual figures. So many of these problems we'll see, they don't always say the time frame, so default to annual figures. Everybody write that down in the chat. Default to annual figures. Okay, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. So the first gross rent multiplier I put on the board, 100,000 divided by 10,000 equals 10. $100,000 property brings in $10,000 a year, okay? And it gives you a gross rent multiplier of 10. Has everybody got that? Everybody see that? $100,000 property, $10,000 a year, gross rent multiplier 10. Annual figures are typically between 5 and 20. Annual figures are typically between 5 and 20. Think logically, that would make sense, okay? So if I had a $100,000 property, it brought in $5,000 a year, you'd have a gross rent multiplier of 20. Okay, everybody got that? If I had anything above that, that's a terrible property. It's not realistic. Okay, so a $100,000 property, if it brought in $1,000 a year, you'd eventually say something's wrong with that problem, that can't be right, and that's a trigger that maybe they're talking about monthly numbers, okay? Because that just doesn't make sense. So you want to keep in mind annual numbers between 5 and 20. Monthly ones between 80 and 40. Richard said, what does the gross rent multiplier mean? How is it referenced? You use the gross rent multiplier in real life when you're trying to find if it's a good deal. So basically what you do, if you see a property that brings in $10,000 a year and you want to know how much to pay for it, what you would do is you would do the price divided by rent around all the other surrounding properties, and you'd find their gross rent multiplier. And then you would take your property, take the $10,000, times it by the gross rent multiplier, and find the value. So it's a method of finding values of income properties or amount of rent to charge. Okay? All right. Adrian says, it will tell you how many months or years it takes for an investment property to pay for itself. So it comes up with a lot of usage. Okay? So 100,000 divided by 10,000 equals 10. Right? That's annual, 520. Monthly. Monthly gross rent multipliers between 80 and 40. So for example, a $100,000 property, if it brought in $1,000 a month, what would be the monthly gross rent multiplier? So if it was a $100,000 property and brought in $1,000 a month, what would be the monthly gross rent multiplier? What do you guys think? $100,000 property, brought in $1,000 a month, it would bring in a monthly gross rent multiplier of 100. Good. And you see that number makes more logical sense. Now, obviously, what they're going to do sometimes, they're annoying. They may give you an annual gross rent multiplier or a monthly rent amount. Dun-dun-dun-dum, dun-dun-dun-dum. Isn't that annoying? Everybody write, that's so annoying. I hate it when they do that, right? So, if you were being asked for a monthly gross rent multiplier and we needed to convert it to monthly figures, okay? So if you had a $100,000 property, $10,000 a year equals 10, but they're asking for a monthly gross rent multiplier, what do we need to do? What do you guys think? So if it's here they're showing you annual figures, but they want this figure converted to monthly. So what do we need to do? We need to take this 10,000 and divide it by 12. Okay? Everybody got that? So that means they're getting $833 a month. Okay? Everybody got that? $833 a month. And now we plug it in here. $100,000 divided by $833 gives you a monthly gross rent multiplier of 120. Okay, everybody got that? So you got to be aware if they're asking you about monthly figures or annual figures. And if we don't know, then we default to annual. Right, guys? Everybody write right. And much like all our webinars, if I'm going too fast, remember this is all recorded. Okay, this is all recorded. All right. You don't have to always round. Kelly says you always round. It depends what the multiple choice options given say. Remember, you're going to have multiple choice. So if you had to fill in the blank, it'd be difficult, but they'll give you options. Okay. How am I doing so far? First math webinar in PrepAgent history. Well, no, it's not the first, but is it the first? Maybe. Okay. So there you have that. Let's do an actual question. Okay, everybody ready for a question? Okay. All right, so I'm going to read the question. Take a moment to try and answer. It'll probably go too fast for you guys. I get that. But remember, we have this recorded. So you can pause it, go through it again. I want to more teach rather than just have you guys work out the problems, get it wrong, and I sit here paused, drinking water and scratching my head. All right, here we go. Similar properties to Joe's property, that's me, that are in the area have an average gross rent multiplier of 13. Joe's property brings in $1,000 a month. What is the estimated value of his property? $123,000, $179,000, $156,000, or $214,000? What do you guys think? Okay, so some of you guys are posting the answers. Some of you are writing C. I want to ask you a more important question. for those of you guys who found the answer, what's the first thing that popped out to you? What's the first thing to say, whoa, I see that? All right, the first thing that came out. Let's help out the people who maybe don't understand this as well. All right, what's the first thing that popped out to you? Okay, so the first thing that pops out is a gross rent multiplier question. Okay. And second thing, some people said monthly popped out. All right, good. So we know we're going to have to convert that. So we look at this problem. Let me just copy and paste it here. So we could have right under there like so. All right. So you said 13 is a small number. Good. Multiply by 12. See a lot of good answers. So we look at our formula, price divided by rent. Okay. We see that right there. Right, guys? Price divided by rent equals gross rent multiplier. The unknown factor is the price. We don't know the price. Okay. We know the gross rent multiplier is 13, but that's a monthly figure. Right, guys? Uh-oh, we have a monthly. Remember we said about 13? 13 is an annual gross rent multiplier. If we go back to, where was that slide? Up here. So that was a dead giveaway that 13 is an annual number. Everybody with me so far? Right, I'm with you. 13 is an annual number, but this is a monthly figure. That's our first problem. So we got to get it all on the same page. So we take that, and we said default to annual figures, right, guys? So we take the 1,000 times 12 equals 12,000, and now we have something more workable. So now we have X represents the price, divided by 12,000 equals 13. Okay, equals 13. X divided by 12,000 equals 13. And if we remember our high school algebra, we just need to multiply the 13 times the 12,000, okay? 13 times 12,000 equals $156,000. So when the unknown factor is on this side and we can't divide, we just multiply this by our known factor to figure out the unknown. And you get $156,000. The key thing that you have to know here is recognize annual and monthly, okay? So that was a great problem that we just did. Our first math problem, our first webinar. Everybody say, woo-woo! First math problem webinar. First webinar math problem. Okay? And that incorporated everything we just spoke about. So Kelly says this work in the triangle circuit formula. It could, for sure. I don't use that. Adrian's going to talk about that in the next webinar. We're going to talk about the triangle circle formula. But for me, I want to talk about how I looked at this and how it worked for me. Sometimes for me, and everything works for different people, so you guys got to research different methods, and we're going to go over different methods. Sometimes those different methods makes it more confusing. I don't know if you guys ever found that, whether it's the formulas we learned, like some of you guys remember that acre is 42,560 square feet. Some of you guys remember the acronym 7-Eleven. And then some of you guys like, why do I remember 7-Eleven? Just remember 42,560 square feet. Okay? So some of those formulas are a bigger pain than help, but it's everybody's individual. We're going to go over some of those later. By the way, this is absolutely applicable to what you're going to do in real life. Okay, does everybody get that? People say some of you guys aren't going to apply this, what you actually do. Gross rent multipliers, you actually absolutely will apply. Okay, let's look at another one. A property valued at $350,000 brings in $1,800 per month. What is the annual gross rent multiplier of this property? 194, 16, 21, 175. So once again, what's the first thing that pops out to you guys about this question? What's the first thing that should pop out in your head here? So instead of just giving the answers, some of you guys the answers, I'd rather you guys show us your first thought to help all those people who maybe are a little confused. Everybody got it? So math is a little different than when we do the other stuff. I think it's much more important in the chat. You guys say the first thing you're seeing rather than just the answer, because there's some people, as we saw, who are a little confused. So stating what you see first will really be helpful to those people. Okay. So the first thing we see that I see, month, annual. Everybody see that? There's a problem here. Month, annual. Everybody got that? Say got it. So the first thing that should pop out is they're asking about annual gross rent multiplier. They're giving monthly figures. Knowing that it is annual, right? We automatically know this too cannot be the answer. Everybody see that? So for those guys who don't understand this at all, something for your guessing technique, the moment you see the words annual, you know it cannot be these two answers. Those are way too high. Everybody got that? Right? Got it. I got it. So we know it cannot be those two. Because we said in the beginning, annual gross rent multipliers are more like between 5 and 20. Okay, and basically what this question is trying to get you on is, do you see that you have to convert this? Okay, good. So we look at our formula here. Let's look at this, what we got here. So we have price divided by rent equals the gross rent multiplier, like we said. So we do 1,800 times 12, because we got to convert that to annual figures, right? And you get 21,600. Then 350,000 divided by 21,600 equals 16.2. 16.2 is not an option, but 16 is. So we obviously rounded it, and there you go. All right. Got it? Okay, excellent. Good. Now, one thing I said before is you guys need to know percentages. Okay, what is a percentage? So, for example, what percentage of 10 is 2? What do you guys think? 10 is 2. What percentage of 10 is 2? Okay, 20%. We know that. We just look at it. How would you figure that out if you didn't know, but just by looking at it? 2 divided by 10 times 100. So what we would do is we would go 2 divided by 10 equals, okay, 0.2. Then you go 0.2 times 100 equals 20%. All right, that's how that would work. All right, the reason I use a super simple formula is because you want to be able to understand how it works when the things get a little more complicated. All right, so you want to understand how to do percentages. Yep, home hoarder says like tipping. Okay, let's go to a question here. And once again, these questions are all in our system, so you can see there. Mary says, do we need this in California? No, Mary, like we said before in the beginning of the webinar and yesterday and a few other times, this is not going to be in California. Math, they don't ask about math in California. You may get a few simple problems, but no, and it says it on the California website. California is unique like that. Okay, Mr. Fix-It wanted to remodel his business, so he got a loan for $4,300 at a rate of 6% interest. He paid his loan off in 8 months. Knowing this, what was the total amount Mr. Fix-It paid? $358, $258, $21.50, or $172. So once again, what pops out to you? What pops out to you right there, right off the bat? Before you guys give an answer, tell me what is kind of shining like a beacon of light from this question. Okay, so first thing you notice, it says 6% interest. Remember, we default to annual figures, right? And they show us for 8 months. That's a very awkward number, 8 months, okay? So somewhere in this, what immediately shines to me is I'm going to have to convert that to annual, all right? Does everybody got that? So that's something that pops out to me right at the beginning. Like I said, when we do this, we got to say what pops out in our head. Everybody got it? So that's something for me that went boop, popped out real quick. Okay, so to figure out this problem, first take the loan amount, multiply it by the interest. Okay, remember what I said before, always default to annual numbers whenever in doubt. So 6% is 0.06. 43,000 times 0.06 is $258. $258. Okay, so I took this number and it said 6% interest. So I converted that. But they're asking about 8 months. All right, they're asking about 8 months. Okay, so first I took the annual figure, found it to be $258. So they're asking about 8 months, which is super awkward. So I take that divided by 12. I get $21.50. And if you stop there, you would circle this and you would get it wrong. What is the next thing I have to do after the $21.50? What do I have to do next to satisfy the question? Okay, we have to multiply it by 8. And we get $172. Okay? So the total amount of interest Mr. Fix-It paid was $172. To look at this again, what I did first is I took the 4,300 times it by 6%. Okay, and I got an annual number of 258. And then we found out he paid off his loan 8 months. So I took the 258 divided by 12. I got 2150. And then I took the 2150 times by 8 and it equals $172. Okay. Once again, if you guys need to look at this again, all this is recorded. This is all recorded. Okay. All right. I want to show you guys an example of a question that I think is important. And we'll go back to the others real quick. Sage owned an income property with an adjusted cost basis of $1,500,000 and a fair market value of $2 million. He exchanged the property for another income property, which has a fair market value of $2,100,000. Both parties had no loans against them and no adjustment was made for the difference in value. For federal income tax purposes, the new property would have a basis of Sage of $1 million, $2 million, $2,100,000, $1,500,000. What pops out to you guys here? Some of you guys are getting the answer, and I'm sure some of you are wondering how'd they get it so fast? How are some people getting this so quickly? What do you guys think? What pops out? Okay, so this is an exchange, and the cost basis of the what pop out is the cost basis. The reason I show this problem is this looks like a math problem, but it's not. This is not a math problem. The cost basis of the old property becomes the cost basis of the new property, okay? And I brought this up during our math webinar because I don't want people to get thrown off every time they see numbers. I thought this was a great example of that. In a tax-free exchange, the cost basis of the property transfer becomes the cost basis of the new property. Okay? So I just wanted to show you guys that really quickly. So I want to demonstrate that every time you see numbers, it's not automatically a math problem. Everybody got that? Okay, good. Let's go back to one that is a math problem. I thought it was important to demonstrate that point. All right. Some of you guys say, like, tell us about these ones that look like math problems and aren't math problems. Well, there it is. Okay, an individual borrowed $7,000 on a straight note at 9% interest. If the total interest paid on the note was $945, what was the term of the loan? 20 months, 16 months, 12 months, or 18 months? What do you guys think? Okay, what pops out to you? Remember, that's the first thing we say. What pops out? What are the key points of this question? Okay, so an individual borrowed $7,000 on a straight note of 9% interest. The total interest paid on the note was $945. What was the term of the loan? Okay, so you see term, $7,000, good. Okay, so remember to think annually. Let's bring the question next to our solution here. Okay, so first thing we do is we take that 9%, okay, and, 9% of 7,000 is $630 interest paid. Okay, so how do we figure that out? We do 0.09 times 7,000, get $630. Okay, that's the simple percentage formula we were talking about. 7,000 times 0.09. That's right, Jasmine. So to get that, we would do 7,000 times 0.09. That equals 630. But they paid $945. Everybody see that? They paid $945. So how long was this? So $630 represents 1 year. So $945 divided by 630 equals 1.5 years. And I don't know if you need a formula for this, but there's 12 months in a year. So therefore, 1.5 years, 1.5 years would be 18 months. Okay, everybody got that? So just to review, what we did is I took the 9% and I times it by the 7,000. I figure out the annual figure. Everybody got that? Okay, so that's what I did first. We figure out the annual figure. And I hope you guys see how I'm applying some of these rules that I started the webinar with and how it's really helpful to kind of always look for those annual figures first. Okay, so I got the 7,000 times the 0.09 equals 630. 945 divided by 630, okay, equals 1.5 years. Because 630 represents 1 year. All right. But they're asking how long was this? So we found out it's 18 months. 945 divided by 630 is 1.5. Thanks, Dante. You the man. Dante said I'm the man. Nobody else. Not Adrian, not Arthur. Me. Okay. Patrick says it's a great refresher of everyday applications. Thank you, Patrick. This is hugely important. Like I said, I'm trying to nail down the stuff we all should know. We all should know these basic formulas. And I go back to what I was saying at the beginning, that some of us get so caught up with these super difficult formulas, but you guys should really make sure you nail down the easy ones. What do I think is easy? Gross rent multiplier, percentages, commission, and I see percentages that comes up in interest, things of that nature. And if you do that, I think you'll find math much less intimidating, much less scary, and the amount of problems that are stressing you out, you'll realize are really in the minority. They're really very few. And if you actually look at it, you could do much more math than you think if you just understand the basic formulas. How many of you guys stress out way too much on these really hard problems? And it freaks you out in your head. You work in your head that every problem is going to be that way. You're like, oh, I can't do this. This is terrible. I need to go take a nap. I think I got to watch Office reruns for the next 3 hours now. Yeah, don't do that. Okay, here we go. If Susan's quarterly interest payments are $150 on a $12,000 loan, what is her annual interest rate? So what pops out to you about this question? What pops out to you about this question? What do you guys think? So what says, whoa? Okay, quarterly. We like our annual figures. What's this quarterly nonsense? Okay, to figure out percentage, divide the income by the investment. So first we figure out how much Susan is paying annually. Okay? 150 times 4 is $600. Everybody see that? $600. Okay? So that's our annual number. All right, here I'll bring this over by my explanation. Okay. So to figure it out, we first find out it's $600, okay? To figure out the annual percentage rate, we take the amount she is paying in interest and divide it by the total loan amount. $600 divided by 12,000 equals 0.05. 0.05. All right? And there you have your answer. To convert decimal into percentage, we move it over and we get 5%. So that question sounded kind of complicated, but it really wasn't when you looked at it. It says if Susan's quarterly interest payments are $150 on a $12,000 loan, then what is her annual interest rate? So we just took that 150, turned into an annual figure of 600. Then we figure out 600 divided by 12,000, 0.05, and you get 5%. All right. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. It is the wording. So Shazia says the wording is very confusing. That's why I keep going or pull out certain parts. So we did a few math problems. I think I could do more of these. What do you guys think? How did I do? Should we do more of this? Hopefully that helped. I was really scared doing this for you guys. But, you know, hopefully this helps for you guys a lot. So we could do more math webinars if you like. Obviously, we're going to pull out different math forms. This formula, as you guys see in my chart, I have many more ready to go. So Adrian and I have a lot more problems to do. We could do a lot of problems discussing different techniques, different formulas. This was hugely scary for me. Just ask Adrian. Adrian, how nervous was I for this? If you guys don't know, I'm an introvert. I'm not really an extrovert. Talking to people makes me very scared and nervous. So maybe we'll do this on a regular basis for you guys if you would like. And we'll crank out a whole series. And we'll go from there. So thank you, everybody. And have a great weekend. We'll have this recording for you ready to go. And we'll do more. So if you guys want to see us do more math problems, don't worry. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm feeling pretty confident that I could help you guys a lot more. And this is just a platform to make you guys math experts. When you're done with me, you're going to be able to work for NASA. You're going to say, you know what, enough of this real estate agent nonsense. I'm ready to work for NASA. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing weekend.